Jewish sage Maimonides from the 12th century said throughout the first and second temples there were 9 red heifers. He said the 10th would signal the appearance of the Messiah.
In the tapestry of time, the resilience of the Israelites has woven an extraordinary narrative, and at the heart of it lies a temple, a symbol of steadfast faith and historical significance. The world reacts as Israel issues a final warning, sparking a renewed interest in biblical prophecies. Let's delve into the astonishing realm where the threads of biblical prophecies seem to intertwine with the reality of modern Israel. What could this revelation mean to the world? Let's find out. The Temple in Jerusalem, also known as the Holy Temple, signifies the 2 religious buildings that functioned as the central places of worship for Israelites and Jews. These structures were on the Temple Mount in the Old City of Jerusalem. The first temple, constructed in the 10th century BCE, fell in 587 BCE during the Babylonian siege. A century later, the second temple replaced it after the Achaemenid Persian Empire triumphed over the Neo-Babylonian Empire. However, the second temple ended during the Roman siege of Jerusalem in 70 CE. These 2 temples were ancient Israel's focal points for worship and national identity. Beyond Judaism, the Temple Mount holds importance in Islam and Christianity. Jerusalem's early Arabic name, Bayt al-Maqdis, reflects its historical connection to the temple. The Temple Mount, a revered site in Jerusalem, boasts 2 iconic Islamic towers, namely the Dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque, which trace their origins back to the Umayyad period. This historical locale, recognized by Muslims as the al-Aqsa Mosque compound or Haram al-Sharif, holds profound significance as the 3rd-holiest site in Islam. In Christian tradition, it is believed that pivotal events in Jesus' life unfolded within the temple's precincts. The Crusaders named the Dome of the Rock Templum Domini, Temple of the Lord. Since the destruction of the Second Temple, a formal and obligatory prayer for constructing a third temple has been incorporated into thrice-daily Jewish prayer services. Nevertheless, whether and when to build the third temple is debated within the Jewish community and beyond. Various factions within Judaism present arguments for and against its construction, and the expansion of Abrahamic religions since the 1st century CE has introduced controversy into Christian and Islamic perspectives. The intricate political situation in Jerusalem adds complexity to the reconstruction efforts, especially since Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock now stand at the historic location of the temple. The idea of rebuilding the third temple in Jerusalem is associated with certain interpretations of biblical prophecies, particularly in the book of Ezekiel. Some believe constructing a third temple is a significant event linked to the end times. However, interpretations vary, and not all religious groups or scholars agree on the details or timing of such an event. What was the fate of the first and second temples in Jerusalem? King Solomon's pinnacle accomplishment was constructing a splendid Jerusalem temple, commonly called Solomon's Temple or the First Temple. Solomon, David's son, oversaw the construction of the first temple, which was completed in 957 BCE. Serving as a dwelling for the ark and a gathering place for the people, the temple, though not large itself, featured an extensive courtyard. Positioned to face eastward, the elliptical structure comprised 3 equal-width rooms: the porch, ulam, the holy place, shekhar, for religious activities, and the Holy of Holies, devir, housing the ark. Encircling the temple, a storehouse, yazia, excluded the front, east side. Nebuchadnezzar II of Babylonia damaged the temple, taking its treasures in 604 BC and 597 BC. The structure faced destruction between 586 and 587. These events, viewed as prophetic fulfillments, deepened Judaic religious convictions and sparked aspirations for the restoration of an independent Jewish state through the deportations of Jews to Babylonia in 586 and 582 BC. Herod the Great, ruler of Judea from 37 BC to 4 AD, initiated the reconstruction of the Second Temple. The building process, which commenced in 20 BC, spanned 46 years. Notably, the Temple Mount's size doubled and was enclosed by a fortified wall featuring gates. The temple underwent elevation, expansion, and a white stone facade. The redesigned Temple Square became a communal space, its porticos providing shelter for merchants and money changers. A stone fence, and a rampart, enclosed the sacred area off-limits to Gentiles. The temple's structure commenced with the Court of Women, featuring gates on each side and chambers at every corner, situated on the eastern side. Later, in 66 AD, an uprising against Rome notably centered on the temple and ultimately culminated in its destruction. Only a fragment of the Second Temple endures the Western Wall, also known as the Wailing Wall, persisting as a significant focal point for Jewish aspirations and pilgrimage. In 691 AD, it became part of the wall surrounding the Muslim dome of the Rock and Al-Aqsa Mosque, but returned to Jewish control in 1967. According to the Jews, both temples met their destruction on the 9th of Av, according to the Jewish calendar. For this reason, every year in August, Tisha B'Av becomes a solemn day of remembrance, echoing the collective grief of Jewish history, notably tied to the temple destructions. On this poignant occasion, the Western Wall Plaza is filled with crowds of Jewish mourners, weaving a tapestry of shared sorrow and reflection. Later, Jewish and Christian rituals drew inspiration from temple practices. Daily Jewish prayers substituted for the temple sacrifices that could no longer occur. Certain temple rituals like the Passover Seder, carrying the palm branch, lulav, and the citron, etrog, during Sukkot, shifted to the home or synagogue, considered a substitute for the temple. Church worship similarly adopted patterns from the rituals of the Second Temple. What is the need for a third temple construction? For those who believe that the biblical covenants for the Jewish people and the land of Israel are to be fulfilled, the reconstruction of the temple is seen as a crucial component of this promised future. In Jeremiah's depiction of the new covenant for Israel, it's been revealed that, "Behold, days are coming, declares the Lord, when I will fulfill the good word which I have spoken concerning the house of Israel and the house of Judah. In those days and at that time I will cause a righteous branch of David to spring forth, and he shall execute justice and righteousness on the earth. In those days Judah shall be saved, and Jerusalem shall dwell in safety. And this is the name by which she shall be called, the Lord is our righteousness. Thus the Lord says, David shall never lack a man to sit on the throne of the house of Israel, and the Levitical priests shall never lack a man before me to offer burnt offerings, to burn grain offerings, and to prepare sacrifices continually." This passage envisions the Messianic age, foreseeing the salvation and restoration of all Israel to the land of Israel. During this era, a righteous descendant of David, the Messiah, will reign on the throne in Jerusalem, and the temple will stand once more, complete with its Levitical priesthood. Considering this as a potential future reality, are there any current indications of preparations for a third temple in Israel? If yes, does this translate to the end times being near? Keep watching to find out the answers to these questions. Since 1987, the temple movement has initiated preparations for reconstructing the Third Temple, and progress toward making this a 21st century reality has been gradual. Despite the secular nature of modern Israel and a significant portion of the global Jewish population, Orthodox Jews hold the belief that these individuals won't partake in the reconstruction of the temple, considering it a spiritual endeavor. The revival of the Sanhedrin, a religious body overseeing legal matters related to the temple, is credited to Orthodox Jews, who aspire to witness its proper reconstruction. For Orthodox Jews, the significance of rebuilding the temple is rooted in its perceived role in the world's redemption. They firmly believe that the fulfillment of this redemption can only occur upon the reconstruction of the temple. Gershon Salomon, the director of the Temple Mount Faithful, has worked to prepare the Israeli society for the acceptance and promotion of rebuilding the temple. Through demonstrations at the temple site, the creation of a cornerstone for the Third Temple, and the crafting of various temple-related utensils, Salomon emphasizes that building the Third Temple is an essential step to fulfill the redemption of the people of the Bible in the land of the Bible. He says, envisioning an Israeli state or life without the Temple Mount at the center is inconceivable. The global opposition to Israel's assertions in Jerusalem, particularly their disputed ownership of the Temple Mount, is substantial. Despite official protests from Islamic authorities, who assert that a temple never existed at the site, recent developments have been instrumental in advancing the goals of the temple movement and bringing the prospect of rebuilding the temple closer to realization within our lifetime. Addressing the claim that denies the existence of a Jewish temple on the site has made archaeologists unearth decades-old research revealing that the location of the Al-Aqsa Mosque, which is believed by Muslims to be built by Abraham, was previously a site for Jewish ritual preparation before entering the temple. The evidence for this discovery traces back to a report by British archaeologist Robert Hamilton, who documented excavations of the mosque's foundations following its destruction in a 1927 earthquake. Beneath the mosque's floor, Hamilton found remnants of a Jewish mikveh, a ritual pool used for purification. As the Bible outlines, red heifers play a significant role in temple law. These cows must be entirely red, free from any blemish, even as minor as 2 hairs of another color, and must be about 3 years of age. They hold a crucial role in sacrificial purity laws, with their ashes mandated by passages in Numbers for purifying the temple's priests and altars. Rabbi Richman, a Sanhedrin member, is leading an initiative to bring the sacred red heifer back to Israel. As outlined in Numbers 19, the ashes of the red heifer, when mixed with water, help purify Jews, allowing them to partake in the temple's services. A man who is clean shall gather up the ashes of the heifer and put them in a ceremonially clean place outside the camp. They are to be kept by the Israelite community for use in the water of cleansing. It is for purification from sin. Numbers 19:9. Over approximately 1,000 years, spanning the time of the first and second temples, only 9 red heifers were employed to prepare the purifying waters for Jews. According to Jewish tradition, the 10th red heifer is reserved for use by the Messiah. The Temple Institute, led by figures like Richman and other rabbis, collaborates with an Israeli cattleman skilled in animal husbandry. They use advanced techniques like implanting frozen embryos of Red Angus cattle, originally from North America, into Israeli domestic cattle. This method is crucial because a red heifer, essential for the purification ceremony, must be born in the land of Israel and never have worn a yoke. The project represents the fusion of ancient religious texts with modern scientific research, marking the culmination of years of work at the Temple Institute. According to an enthusiastic report in the UK tabloid The Mirror, a red heifer, the first of its kind in 2,000 years, was born in Israel. This specific calf is no luck. The Temple Institute has been diligently working to breed a sacrificial cow for years, having imported Red Angus cows from Nebraska. The recent birth is not the initial announcement marked by great excitement, and there have been previous occasions where calves were imported from the US, with support from evangelical Christian farmers backing Jewish initiatives. They've expressed their intention to meticulously examine the calf's development for any blemishes, determining if the conditions are favorable to commence construction. Rabbi Yitzchak Mamo, who is associated with the Third Temple Group Uvna Jerusalem, informed the Christian Broadcasting Network about his intention to conduct a ceremony during Passover 2024 involving the slaughter of the imported heifers, provided they remain free of blemishes until then. Mamo mentioned purchasing a piece of land with a view of the Temple Mount 12 years ago, specifically to utilize it for the slaughter ceremony and initiate preparations for constructing the Third Temple. Thousands of Jews gathered at the Western Wall in Jerusalem on October 12th for the Locale and Bayt celebrations, marking preparations for the Third Temple. The tradition is to begin with the Sukkot ceremony. During Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, Jewish priests, Kohanim, and Levites, attired in white robes, retrieve water from the pool of Siloam for the traditional pouring of the water, Nisuk Hamayim. This biblical ritual involves drawing water in silver vessels from the pool on the eastern slope below the western wall and pouring it onto an altar specially constructed for this purpose. Following the ceremony, the crowd filling the western wall plaza joined the Simchat Bayt HaShoeva celebration, commemorating the ancient water-drawing ceremony during Sukkot in the Holy Temple. Led by religious leaders and musicians, the festive journey began in Shihar Haspot, extending to Shelach and Salam Springs, all with historical and spiritual significance. Picture the jubilant scene with participants singing, dancing, and sounding silver trumpets under the guidance of religious leaders. At Shelach, water was carefully collected in a golden pitcher and transported back to the hilltop, where a temporary altar adorned with green branches recalled the traditions of the sacred temple. According to Isaiah 12:3, this water is called the waters of salvation. Although not strictly commanded by the Torah, the water-pouring ceremony was embraced with zeal and enthusiasm. Lasting for 15 hours within the temple, the festivities extended into the night, attracting participants from around the globe to partake in the Sukkot celebration. What began as a local tradition became a globally significant worship occasion. In the last 6 days of Sukkot, rituals took center stage, highlighting water libation and wine pouring as symbolic acts representing crucial aspects of temple traditions and prophecies about Armageddon. While the term Armageddon might evoke apocalyptic visions and thoughts of a global cataclysm leading to the end of the world, within this narrative, it serves as a thread intricately woven into the broader tapestry of ancient traditions, spiritual renewal, and global worship. It invites contemplation on the profound and interconnected aspects of faith and prophecy, offering a rich perspective beyond its stereotypical association with doom. According to the Book of Revelation in the New Testament of the Christian Bible, Armageddon is the prophesied location where armies gather for a decisive battle during the end times. This location is interpreted variably as either a literal or symbolic site. The term is also used more broadly to refer to any end-of-the-world scenario. In Islamic theology, Armageddon is also mentioned in Hadith as the greatest Armageddon or al-Malhama al-Kubra, signifying the great battle. This conflict represents a defiance of divine authority that goes beyond specific geographical limits. Its roots can be traced to Mount Megiddo in northern Israel, historically linked to significant battles. However, the idea surpasses military confrontations and can also be understood in the context of natural disasters such as earthquakes, floods, hailstorms, landslides, severe storms, epidemics, wildfires, and even lightning. Some interpret these occurrences as expressions of a higher power's influence. The profound effects of these natural events are especially felt in societies that seem to have strayed from essential moral principles. Recent disasters worldwide encourage reflection on the powerful forces influencing our planet, prompting questions about adopting ethical behaviors and steadfast moral values in the face of such events. Certain significant events are anticipated before the battle commences, as foretold by the prophets. Among them is the rebuilding and repopulating of the land of Israel by the covenant people, as outlined in Ezekiel 36, 10, 12, 33, 36. Therefore, the Temple Institute envisions its mission as constructing a dwelling place for the presence of God, specifically a third temple on Mount Moriah. They emphasize the importance of education, research, activism, and preparation to achieve this goal. This brings us to the end of today's video. Given these factors, what is your perspective on the potential realization of ancient biblical prophecies concerning Israel? Do let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.